Good evening, everyone, and welcome back once again to IG8Live Esports for another session here with SLIPSTREAM Racing League. Currently, it's round 17 of the current championship that we're on, and once again, we're on with another new circuit that's been added on to the F1 2021 game. So it's a Jeddah Street circuit here in Saudi Arabia, and of course, as usual, we've kept it 100% racing with the new circuits added on. So we're doing a short qualifying session, and then we get straight into a 100% race. So it should be quite a bit interesting. Haven't done too many laps on this track myself, so not overly familiar with it as it is. So I think we're just going to be on a bit of a learning curve getting through, as we'll keep an eye on the guys during the qualifying session and see what's going to happen. In that case, we got 17 drivers lined up here for qualifying, so let's see how it goes. We are down to just under 15.5 minutes, of course, remaining in the session as well, waiting for some lap times to start to come in, and we'll see exactly where we're at in terms of that there, and how much practice the guys have gotten in the short time that the track has been up on online on the game as well, because I know I think it's been actually over a week as yet. So I think they just had a minimum amount of practice on it, so let's see how well things go in terms of this race. So it should go pretty well. When Portimao was added, I think it was a short span in which they had just a few days of practice in terms of getting a race going there as well. We did a 100% race, went pretty well in that aspect of it, so we'll see what's going to happen in this case. We are on with OTL Alien at the moment, still on trying to get a qualifying lap in. I think it was on for a lap before, probably invalidated as it just did with this one here. So let's see what's going to happen. Who else currently running on track? Got Beefy, I think, just getting started on a lap here right about now. As you can see, it's another street circuit, so quite tight around here, barriers on both sides, so they're going to have to be careful, much like Monaco, much like Azerbaijan, which we just got finished with here as well in SLIPSTREAM Racing. So we'll see what's going to happen. Getting on board the Beefy, let's see how he gets through his current lap here on track. And what I've seen so far in terms of other drivers attempting laps here, if you do get one corner wrong, you're going to get the other one wrong, so they had to just be as careful as they can in terms of chaining corners on this track. Bit of an angle getting through that corner there, and it's always been interesting. I think when most of the guys getting through, and I think drivers enjoy that part of it as well. So we'll see what's going to happen as one keeps going through for the lap. So we got some time in so far. So Josh with a 129.3, not a bad lap at all. Christoph's at 130.0, and Matt's been a 130.8, just about 8 tenths off, so a few tenths off each other at the moment. We'll see how the rest of the session goes as we get further down to the end of it. At least for 5 minutes remaining, we'll see where we're at that time at least. Just trying to have a look at where our sectors start and begin on track. At least remember what's going on. I don't think any purple sectors were achieved here by BP on this current lap, but still at least trying to get that lap time in. And does he get one? Does get a 131.8. Not probably what he expected, but he's going to work for now with 17 drivers, and I think he's just going to try to get the best possible start that he can. Welcome to everyone on the stream. Welcome to everyone on the chat. Thank you guys for joining on with us. Hopefully we have an exciting race as we've had with the previous two new tracks added on to the game. We'll see how well it goes in terms of the race up, but I want to see what the qualifying times are going to be as we get through this session here. So far looking I think pretty decent in terms of the gap that we have at the moment. Got match slow fastest in the session 128.6, and I think that's going to hold up pretty well against what Josh and Chris upside the 129 and 130 is going down. Got Dixie with a 134.5 now, not the best of lap, but still trying to get a lap in compared to the rest of the drivers we have. The Extremist, unfortunately, no lap in for him. He's already out of the session. Not sure if he has a qualifying ban in this case here. Didn't really have a look at that. And looks like we got Meep up into second on the grid, 129.2, a tenth higher than what with Josh had. So let's see if that's going to keep on through as we get through the rest of the laps here. Trying to follow on with someone else we have racing here at the moment. See where the McLaren of Matt is at the moment as he gets on through this lap. I think his teammate Nick still in the pit, still not to be attempted a lap as yet. We're trying to keep an eye and see what's going on as we get through the session. Still got enough time on this, 11.5 minutes remaining. They can get at least 2 or 3 more hot laps in the track, but it takes about a minute and a half to get around here, so they're going to have to be a bit quick about it before the session closes off if they do want to get a qualifying lap in. Not sure if they do intend on starting at the back of the grid, but I'm not sure if it's advisable on this track. I'm quite sure the guys have done some practice races so far for the past few days as they've been practicing on it. So let's see what the race strategy will be in this case. It might be looking at starting on hards, it might be looking at starting on this soft. So we'll see what's going to go on. And I think it's going to be a dry session. Someone did indicate, I think Mikey was telling us it's going to be dry all the way through, possibly. You only have a look at the Discord as yet. I think it's going to be dry all the way through. Let's see what's going on in that case there. I think it's going to be dry getting all through the session. We'll see what's going to happen with that. Looks like the McLaren got a 131.6. His teammate currently on an outlap here. We'll see what's going to happen with that. Go down control again in the session on an outlap as well. Looks like Max Lowe holds on to fastest lap in this session so far with his 128.6. He had some decent practice on this track here. I think OTL Alien still trying to get a lap in, running without the front wing at the moment, so obviously not going too well for him on that end. Got Albo getting back into the pits. Let's see what's going to happen. Miles on an outlap here as well, and I think he should be finishing off that outlap pretty soon. Let's have a look at him and see where he's possibly going to be with this. Because I think Nick's still on an outlap. I'm trying to see where he is. I think he might just be a bit in front though. Let's see if he's going to get started on a qualifying lap here or not as he gets through the end of sector 3 there. Pit lane entrance on the left hand side as we went by there as they get on through. Let's see, so straight down into turn 1. Not really a long run, but quite tight getting through here, and then straight into the right hand of turn 2, so they're going to have to be extremely careful as getting through this. Much like another new circuit that was added to this game, I think last year, though, also with Vietnam, in terms of the way the circuit is actually set up. So they're going to be a bit careful with that. We'll see what's going to happen in that case. We do expect, if this is the case, we do expect there might be a safety car or a VSC on that opening lap. Just depending on how many cars are going to have contact getting through the opening lap in this race, because I think it's going to be just a bit dicey getting through with how tight the corner is, and then switching right back into turn 2 after turn 1. So I think it's going to be a bit tricky. Hopefully drivers have had enough practice with it, and let's see what's going to happen in that case. But so far so good in terms of getting lap times in. I think they've been pretty decent and they're pretty close by to each other. Mikey now gets a 128.7. He's only a 10th off from Matt Slow, the fastest driver in the session so far. Meat down to 3rd. We got Josh down to 4th. Christoph now moves down to 5th. Matt's been holds on to 6th so far. Got Beefy in 7, Kodak Controller 8 now, Maddie in 9th, Dixie in 10th, and Vintage gets an 11 with a 133.2. Still gets a lap time in. We got Alien having some trouble getting a lap time in. Josh out of the session so far as it is. We still got Nick on track. We got Miles on track trying to get a lap time in. Now Nick goes 3rd fastest at 129.0. Not a bad lap from him in the McLaren. His team is still down in 10. Hopefully can get a better lap in. We got an Alpine stuck on track there. Hopefully gets out of the way. Got a yellow flag situation going on. Gonna slow drivers down a bit with that. Got Miles moves up into 11th now at 132.5 as we switch on to him. So he's now into at least somewhere in the midfield to get started with this race. See what's gonna happen. Mr. Rage and Albo down in 16th and 17th. What's up with these two at the moment? Let's see what's going on. We got the Red Bull possibly trying to get started with another lap here. And of course we're back to the original livery on the Red Bull compared to the white one we had for just a bit, as they gave that one us to, I think Codemaster just added that one on to use, and they switched it back now, so I'm not sure if everyone's happy about it or not. I think turns 1 and 2 are going to be a bit tricky for drivers to try to avoid invalidating laps here as well. We'll see how well it's going to go as we get on through that. So keep on Mr. Rage at the moment in the Red Bull here. He usually gets some pretty good laps in. Let's see what's going to be at the end of this. 6.5 minutes left in qualifying. Of course, there's still some decent time to work with in terms of getting a qualifying time in. I think they're getting pretty close with the gaps right about now. Those 129s and 130s, especially the 129s. I think just being about 2 tenths up from the time of Meep, who's about a tenth up from Josh, but Josh of course out of the session now, which means he's going to be stuck in 5th, and if anyone gets a faster time then he'll be moved down the order. We'll see what's going to happen in that case as it is there right now, but so far so good here in qualifying here at the Jeddah Street Circuit. Not too bad in terms of the lap times. We got a purple sector 1, sorry, sector 2. Trying to figure out which sector is which one at this point here. As it says, still new to the track, as most of drivers are here as well. Haven't gotten a chance to do too many laps on it, but let's see what's going to go on this case here. That was sector 2 either way, getting to sector 3. And let's see how he finishes off this lap. Hopefully a pretty good lap in. Seems to be doing pretty well so far. Not sure what the sector 1 time was. As he gets across the line, he goes fastest in the session there and set a pretty good lap and went just about 100th of a second faster than what Matt Slow had there, so he's now fastest in here in qualifying. Let's see if that's going to hold in the next 5 minutes going down to the end of the session. So a pretty good lap for Mr. H here in the Red Bull. I think that's going to hold up pretty well. We got Algo here in the Williams. He's trying to get a lap together. Hasn't gotten a good one yet because he's still without a lap time as he now gets started. On that same set of tires, he's going to try to pull off another lap here. And let's see if he's going to do him any good in terms of chaining a few corners and getting a good lap in. I think this track is all about chaining off these corners. You gotta just get one after the other. You do get one wrong, you're gonna get the other one wrong, and then you do end up invalidating your lap with the way the track is set up actually. So quite difficult to and there he goes a bit wide, gets it back on track through the line there though, so still counts as a valid lap for now. See if he's going to keep this going all the way through. But yep, a few drivers definitely having a difficult time in terms of getting a good qualifying lap in here at Saudi Arabia. So let's see what's going to happen by the time we get down to the end of the session. But still, qualifying lap times are looking pretty good. We got a few drivers into the 128s, most of them into the 129. We got some 130s and higher on, and let's see what that's going to be in terms of the midfield getting through on the start of the race. It's going to be interesting between them. So we got Mazepin and BP stuck down at the edge of the 129s. See how well they perform with that in terms of getting on through. Beefy doesn't seem to have his, I think he has his teammate on here today. His regular one, that is. Now guys, let's switch this back up. I think Alien's still on track, still trying to get a lap in here as he now gets on through on another hot lap here. 3 minutes now remaining, about 3 minutes remaining either way. Let's see if he is able to pull off a lap before this session comes off to, and hopefully getting one in and already invalidates that current lap there. So not doing too well there in terms of trying to get a lap in. Might have one more chance at this, but might have to pull it off on that same set of tires that he's currently on. Let's see if he's able to do this at this point here. Trying to switch on, see what's going on further up the track. I think Nick is trying to get a faster time in here. Ferrari getting through sector 3. Not sure if there was any purple sectors on this current lap, but let's see if he finishes off. Looking like we might just have one more driver join us on the session. Let's see if that's going to be the case, and that will be good to have in full 18 on the grid. Still short of 2 for 20 in terms of having a full grid, but either way it's still going to work out. I think Nick did get a faster time, and he now's up into second on the grid, 128.6 and 90, literally 4,000th of a second faster than what Maslow had. Now drifting around the track there, but he has a pretty good time, and I think he needs to still try to get that car back into the pit lane. Mr. Rage out on another outlap here, possibly trying to get another lap in on that Red Bull. See if that's going to be the case with him here or not. As we're coming right down to the end of the qualifying session. Of course, remember guys, it's a short qualifying session on this Sunday evening here, so not going to be going to Q2 or Q3. We're going straight into the race session after this, and going to be a 100% race. So doing the full amount of laps around the track. Let's see if the guys have a strategy set up for that and how actually well they prepared. They have prepared pretty well for the past 2 races in terms of being 100% races on the new tracks that have been added on the game. So let's see how well they do on this one. Going to be very different with just this one being a bit tighter around the track. A lot of tires stuck on the track again. Guess a bit of a new glitch still on it here, being a new circuit added on. It doesn't explain why there are tires on the old tracks. I think we got Casey trying to join the session, but not getting through that. Hopefully he does getting through. Let's get through before this qualifying gets over with, because he won't be able to join unless it joins on before qualifying is over with. Alright, so I think that's going to be it there for the qualifying session. Time is officially up. Mr. Red gets a faster time in at 128.0. 4 tenths faster than Mikey got there for P2. So it looks like he's on proportional pole here for the start of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Let's see if that's going to hold on. I think it will, because I don't think anyone else is still currently running on track except for Meep, who was currently at 129.2. So highly doubt he's getting a fast time in here. Let's have a look where he's at. Moving slowly on track with an invalidated lap there as well. So I think that's going to be it for the qualifying session here. We're going to have a quick look at the results and then head straight over to the starting grid, and we'll have back a look at that going the formation lap. Alright, so there we have it, qualifying here for the Jeddah Street circuit for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Got Mr. H qualified for P1 in the Red Bull, not a bad time from him, going about 4 tenths faster than Mikey there, who qualified in 2nd with the Ferrari. Nick in 3rd. We got Max Lewis start 4th. Albo made it up to 5th. Beefy down to 6th right about now. Meep in 7th. We got Josh in 8th. Christoph's currently 9th. We got Kodan Controller in 10th. Masbin 11th. I think Dixie made it for 12th. Miles in 13. Maddie 14. We got Vintage in 15. Got Alien 16. Extreme is down to 17. Didn't get to set a time in qualifying. I think he possibly had a ban or something happen. Not sure. But either way, we're going to head straight over to the race session. The guys are going to get the grid sorted and we will get the race on the way. Okay, so getting through the formation lap, let's have a quick look at our starting grid as it is, and of course we're going to just get a few details on here. We can let's have a look at the qualifying tires if we can. At the moment, looking like we have the top 11 drivers starting on the soft tires as it is there right about now. Mixer strategies going down the grid further off at the back. We got Dixie on the mediums as well as Maddie Vintage and Extremist. The rest of the grid are on the softs. The majority of the drivers find it a bit more to the advantage starting on the softs here. I would expect the front of the grid starting on the soft. Let's see what's going to happen at the back of the grid as it is right now. And of course, being a 100% race around the Jeddah Street circuit, it's going to be 50 laps around this circuit. It takes about a minute 30 to 32 seconds, 33 seconds or so average race pace time to get around here. I average about a minute 34 seconds race pace time because they have much more fuel in the cars at the start of the race. Going down to the end, it's going to ease off there, so we'll be a bit slower as we get down through the session. Let's see what's going to happen. Looks like we got Casey joining on the session here as well. We'll be 18th on the grid, of course, so hopefully we'll get a pretty good start down the back. We'll see what's going to happen. Mr. Rage, of course, starting on pole here in Saudi Arabia, so hopefully gets a pretty good run off of Mikey, who's starting just alongside him there in second on the grid. So we got Red Bull versus Ferrari on the start. We'll see how well that's going to go. Just behind that on the second row, we do have Nick starting third. We got Maxwell starting at fourth. Then we got Albo will start in fifth. Beefy starting sixth, just alongside him. Meep starting seventh, along with Josh there in eighth. Kristaps in ninth, along with his teammate in 10th. So it looks like we got both of them side by side. With that, Masbin will start 11th on the grid, getting a much higher start as he goes through the season here. Dixie there will start 12th. We got Miles starting 13th in the Alfa Romeo there. Maddie there starting 14th on like his teammate up in third. We'll see what's going to happen in that case. Vintage in 15th. We got Extremist will start 16th. OTL Alien starting 17, had a lot of trouble chaining together a lap over in qualifying, and got Casey there now joining on the session. Didn't get to participate in qualifying session. Will be starting 18th on the grid. Hopefully gets a pretty good start. We'll see how well this race start is going to go. Camera angles are trying best to catch as much as we can through the race. Getting through the opening lap here as well will be, of course, our first official stream here on IG8Live Esports with a race at the Saudi Arabian circuit. So let's see what's going to happen in terms of the race start itself. I'm getting through to this is the end of lap 1. Let's see, starting with 18 drivers. Let's see how many can make it to the end of lap 50. Of course, 100% races always a bit difficult with drivers. They're much used to the 50% races. Would have been about 25 laps or so if we had done it in that case there. So let's see how well the guys are going to handle getting on through. Not everyone will be making it to the end, we do know that much. So let's switch this on over to position changes. You guys will be able to have a look at that as we get started. Hopefully not having a glitch here, waiting for those lights to start to go. I'm going to switch it on over to Mikey in this case here and see who gets a better run off the line. And we're still waiting for the lights. Looks like we might be potentially having a glitch. We'll have to just give it a bit, guys. Remember, it is a new track added on to the game, so there could be potential issues with it. But there are issues with the old tracks as well. Alright, I think we are having a bit of a glitch. It looks like we're going to have to do a restart in the lobby. And we'll... Let's see what's going to happen. I think we're going to be doing a restart. Okay, so let's just switch this off for a second. That's not the actual start, that's just a virtual start on it. And we're going to switch this on over to the new lobby here, if we need to, because I think I highly doubt it's actually going the way it's supposed to at this point here. I think Casey left and possibly got started. I'm not even sure what happened at this case here. I think Casey left the session and the race actually got started. Not sure if everyone's still in it, but looks like everyone is still in it. I'm just going to go with it for a second, see what's happening. As it is right about now, looks like the Red Bull still has a lead in the race getting on through. Mikey still holds on to second, Nick still in third. A bit of a change in the order of the grid as we get further on down. And they seem to get getting through the opening now pretty well at the moment, as from what we can see here. Beefy's up to fifth already, gained the position. So did Albo there, and looks like Marslow lost about 2 positions off that start. Still trying to keep it going as they get on through here. We got Nick a pretty close gap towards Mikey though, as he's trying to keep up with the Ferrari in the front. He might be trying to get himself up into second before the end of the first lap if he can here. So getting through sector 3 right about now. It's a 50-lap race. Anything could potentially happen, but let's see what's going to happen. Looks like everyone else is still racing. I think when Casey left the session, he did well, I think he was probably holding up the lobby a bit. I'm not sure. They do have these issues with the lobbies when a driver joins on way too late. It kind of just causes a bit of a glitch with the start of the race itself. So far so good as we have it going on through. Let's switch this back over to... So there's nothing at this point here. We know we got most of the drivers running on the soft tires, a few drivers on the mediums. From what we can see so far, that's the expected pit stop strategy. A 2 or 3 stop strategy might be in place here. I'm trying to have a look and see how well this is going to go, as we still got everyone running on the grid. It looks like Extreme is currently into the pits. Everyone seems to be connected still to the session here, because I haven't seen anything else going on in the Discord, so I know everyone is still racing. Let's keep this going and see what's happening out front. Looks like the Red Bull getting away pretty well, as he now gets a bit of a gap against the Ferrari getting through. As you can see, the distance that's between the two of them. So Mr. Rage getting a pretty good run with a clean air out in front. He's getting away pretty well, has a bit of a gap to work with, and he's going to try to get out of the 1 second range of Mikey there. So when DRS comes on during lap 3, he is going to be in a bit of a safer space in terms of not having the Ferrari have DRS against him. So let's see what's going to happen in that case. Of course, Albo not in a good place, so he's gotten ahead of the McLaren of Nick, but Nick following on pretty strongly, trying to get back alongside him. Let's see how well that's going to go on between the two of them, because they're still trying to fight for that position as they now go side by side through there in sector 3, and looks like Williams trying to hold it off on the inside. We have the McLaren on the outside, gets on the racing line, he gets ahead and he holds back to that position. Let's see if anyone is disconnected. It looks like we might have a disconnected Williams. I'm not entirely sure what's happening. Let's have a look up back, and I actually think it's fine so far. Just showing a bit strange on our end. I think Meek might have a pretty close gap there to the Haas in front of him, and he does. Let's see if he does get by him. He's trying to get alongside, but having a bit of a difficult time doing that. Of course, when we said it's a street circuit here in Saudi Arabia, so very close with the barriers along the center of the track. They have to be extremely careful when attempting an overtake at this point here, and they have to know which point of the track is safe actually to pull off an overtake, in terms of having just a bit of runoff room in case things do not go as well or as expected at this point here. So let's see how the rest of the race gets on through. Out in front, we got Mr. Rage has a 2-second gap against the Ferrari behind of him, and he's trying to hold off on that he has there. We had OTL Alien here trying to run a pretty good race at the moment. He's up into 8th and running, 2/10 behind the Mercedes of Meep, and is still trying to get around him as he now gets on the inside, and looks like he might have a bit of an advantage trying to get around. And looks like he does not get ahead, so he's still trying to hold off through that. Does get the fastest sector there in sector 2, so he's having a pretty good lap as he gets on through here. Was having a difficult time in qualifying in terms of getting a lap in. That's quite an interesting view on the overhead cam here for Saudi Arabia for the track. Hopefully having a few more of those as we get on through the session. And looks like we got Meep still trying to fight back for that position there. So 8th is still there in 8th. Got Mr. Ray getting the fastest lap out in front. Of course, Nick and Mikey switching it for a second. So not sure what's entirely happening out in front. But looks like the McLaren has gotten ahead of the Ferrari. He's going to hold off in that position. We got a bit of a tussle going on with Alien and Meep still. Minor contact between those two cars, hopefully no damage on them from what we can see so far. Looks like Alien is now ahead of Meep as he's gotten the position away. Let's see what's happening out front with Nick and the Ferrari behind of him. Of course, Albo coming there in 4th. These three have been switching it up a bit since the start of this race, and we got Nick getting the fastest sector time there, I think for sector 1. getting on through. So he's running a pretty good lap. 2.6 seconds for him to catch up to Mr. Rage out in front in the lead, as he's trying to hold on for that still. I don't think he's going to give up that lead that easily, and let's see what's going to happen. But let's see where is the rest of the grid going on through. Beefy's down to 7 for some reason. Not sure if he had a bit of an error in terms of getting through on his current lap. I do enjoy having a look at the overhead view under the lights here in Saudi Arabia. Quite an interesting circuit getting around. Either way, the McLaren trying to catch up to the Red Bull out in front, not having the best of luck here though, because he's lost of at least about 3/10 so far in terms of trying to get towards Mr. Rage out in front. It's now up to 3 seconds where the gap is, so definitely not going to have that DRS advantage on the Red Bull. Mikey, of course, having the DRS advantage against Nick here, so he's going to try to catch up, try to get an overtake down on him as much as he can. Of course, 50 laps total to go in this race. We're only on lap 5 at the moment, so they're going to have to take it a bit easy, not force these overtakes through the race itself, being it's a 100% race. We got Extremists out of the session. Not sure if this happened on track, and it looks like it did happen on track. I don't think we'll be able to see his car there. We got a full safety car for that incident there. Of course, a street circuit, very tight around here. If a car is stuck on track, it's going to actually block off the racing path, so they're going to have to pull out the full safety car for this. I don't think our VSC is going to be sufficient. And of course, this is going to be allowing Mr. Rage to not have such an advantage out in front, because Nick will now be able to catch up. And let's see if that's going to do him some good or not. Of course, you can see the gap already starting to break down here. Let's have a look where Mr. Rage is out in front as he continues on this current lap. Still running on those soft tires, of course. And we do expect a 2-stop, possibly a 3-stop strategy in this race, just depending on virtual safety cars and safety cars getting on through. Of course, we already have a safety car, but not sure if these guys are going to want to be doing a pit stop under this safety car as it is right about now. They might just all continue all through. We haven't seen any stops under the safety cars yet. We do have a few penalties in play here on track. At least 5 drivers so far with penalties out of 18. I don't think I'm not sure if Casey's car is connected still to the session. We'll have a look at that. Just a bit. Let's switch on and have a look quickly actually. So he's driving the Red Bull. Looks like he is connected to the session. Hopefully he is. As you can see, Mr. Rage continues on in the race. Did not do a pit stop here. We're on a lap 6 at the moment. We do expect to be getting back racing pretty shortly here. See how well that's going to go as we get on through. Getting to have a look at the Aston Martin safety car once again. And we can start to see the gaps are going to start to close up on between all the cars on track here. So they're going to have that advantage of closing the gap against the car in front of them. Once again, Nick going to be a bit happy about that. Was having quite a lot of trouble keeping up with the Red Bull in front of him. Of course, Mr. Rage, it looks like he's had quite a bit of practice on this track though. Qualified to start their P1, held on to that lead, getting on through this entire race. And of course, with the safety car here, he's not going to be overly happy about it. Well, let's see what's going to happen as they get on through and close off this safety car pretty soon, hopefully. We're hoping by the end of lap 7 at least. We got Matt Slow with a 5-second penalty for severe collision with Beefy, something that happened between the two of them on track. I'm not sure if he brake tested the AlphaTauri behind of him or what happened there, but something definitely did happen. Could have been a glitch as well. We cannot be sure as yet. We'll find out later on in the session. So we're just going to have to wait for the safety car to be over with. No pit stops under this safety car too early off in the race, as it is being a 100% race, 50 laps of it. We're on lap 6 here at the moment. We're going to come to the end of that, going into lap 7. Hopefully we can have the safety car go in at the end of lap 7. I assume it should. And yeah, then we should be able to get back racing. Gap between Mr. Rage and Nick now going under a second, as I think they're going to close that gap much more coming down to the end of the safety car. And if he wants to keep too close to that Red Bull, I think he's closing it on as much as he can there right about now. But it needs to be a bit careful. Doesn't want to risk getting another penalty, as he already has one penalty there. Either way, let's see what's going to happen as we now get into lap 7 here. Should be coming to the end of the safety car at the end of this lap. Looks like Albo gets a 5-second penalty for corner cutting. Not sure what was happening in that case there. He went off track just a bit. I do need to be a bit careful with that. Alright, so we're now into sector 2 on the track on lap 7. Coming down to the end of that. We'll see what's going to happen. Looks like he retired from the session, did he? Albo has retired from the session already. So we've already lost 2 drivers from this race. Extremes, I think he possibly crashed out. Unfortunate, Albo, if you can explain what happened here, because we're not quite sure what happened. I'm assuming that penalty was a glitch. I'm not sure, but I think it possibly was a glitch, because I don't even understand how that happened during a safety car. Or else either that or something did happen on track. Well, not sure as yet. We'll possibly get some more information as we get on through the session with it there, possibly Discord or maybe even on chat, because we do have Albo on chat for that. Let's see what's going to happen. We're still under the safety car going. Hopefully at the end of lap 8 we'll have it going. We should have it going at the end of this lap here. They expect it to go in at the end of lap 7. All the debris should have been cleared off the track, so I'm not sure why we're running so long under a safety car. In this case here, we're on lap 8 already. We'll be racing again into lap 9. I just gonna have to be a bit patient with this one and keep it going. We got 16 drivers remaining out of 18. Unfortunate to lose 2 drivers this early off in the race, but does happen. And not sure there's too much we can do about it. I would think was an exit problem with the pit exit here, the Jeddah Street circuit. Honestly, I haven't run too much laps on this track, and I haven't gone in and out of the pits as yet on a session, so I'm not even sure how the entrance and exit of that pit lane is. I mean, I'm seeing it from my perspective here, but I haven't actually driven through it to know what the angle of it is. I assume probably he went too much on the inside, or the game considered it too much on the inside, which is what gave him the penalty. I'm guessing that what it is, going through on the entrance before you either switch on the inside of the pit lane or switch back to the track. I think that's where the problem is. It could be just a bit of a glitch on their end in terms of how much they put the gap on the outside just to make sure you don't get a penalty or get a penalty. I'm not sure what exactly they did when setting up this track. Oh, okay, I get it. I get what happened. So on the exit of the pit lane, if you went over the white line, that's what caused a penalty to happen. Usually you don't get a penalty for that in a game getting on through though. Usually you're supposed to keep on the inside, but usually even if you go on the outside, you're not supposed to be getting a penalty. Alright, so we got a safety car coming in on this lap. We're about to get back racing into lap 9. Let's see what's going to happen. So, we got Extremist out on a incident. We got Albo out on a bit of a technicality on the game there, having a 10-second penalty just because he went over the white line on the pit exit, getting out of the pit lane. Let's get back here with Nick and see what's going to happen as these two get back racing here. So Mr. Reggie Nick out in front. Of course, Nick with a penalty. Monkey, no penalty, just behind of them. Let's see who's going to be the first to go as the Red Bull is holding him up. Got the McLaren trying to get alongside that Red Bull even before they get it on the line. And now we're back racing here in Saudi Arabia. Let's see how well that restart is going to go. Out just behind, I think we got a bit of a close gap between quite a few cars getting on through. So far so good as it go. Don't think we have any contact happening at the back as yet. Aiden trying to hold off for his position because he got up into third against the Ferrari. But I think he's trying to keep the position as much as he can. So did Masto there. And Mikey now down to 5th. Just ahead of Beefy, who's only a 10th behind of him. So that's going to go pretty well for the AlphaTauri if he can get by. Losing the gap already though, down by about 2 more tenths. And I think he's still trying to keep it going. Out in front, Mr. Ray trying to keep the gap increasing between him and the McLaren of Nick. He's up to about 8 tenths at the moment here. Let's see how well that's going to go between the two of them. That's right sure Nick wants to get into the lead if he can here, but so far so good as you get on through. Gap is our second and over already between the Red Bull and the McLaren out in front, and I think that's going to make the Red Bull driver quite happy and the team as well. OTL Alien 2 tenths behind Nick, so he's trying to get ahead of the McLaren now, so under pressure from the AlphaTauri behind of him. Let's see if he's going to be able to keep the position in this race, and he's having some trouble doing that as he's all over the track at the moment, just trying to make sure he can black an overtaking point at this point here. And looks like we got Alien going around the outside, and he might just be able to get that position up. Does get it against the McLaren. He's up into second. Nick down to third. Hold off on that bike pretty well, but I think he's gonna have to just let be for the moment. Let's see how close he's gonna stay as he gets on through with this. So getting into the next lap, we're into lap 10 of 50 at the moment. Still got another 40 plus laps or so to go before we close off this race here. So we got the McLaren keeping as close as they can to Alien here, still within DRS range, and that should be back online here pretty soon, and if not already. Either way, let's see how this rest of this race is going to get on through. I'm trying to switch down the order of the track yesterday, but that's going down to 8 here with Josh in the Alpine at the moment, chasing after Christoph in the Aston Martin. In front of him, of course, he's stuck between two Aston Martins, I believe, here. So let's see how well that's going for him. Is he? Or is that a Mercedes behind? I think it's a Mercedes behind of him. My bad on that. Is it a Mercedes behind of him? Oh, sorry, it is an Aston Martin behind of him. He's good on control, trying to keep up with him. So not really a good point for him to be stuck between two Aston Martins at this point in the session. You're gonna have to be careful in terms of what he does here. Got the Red Bull of KC up into 10th and chasing after that Aston Martin behind. Let's see how much luck he's gonna have in terms of trying to get an overtake done. Looks like he's already lining him up to get by, and I'll see how well that's gonna work, because I think he might have the advantage in terms of pace here, as he now pulls it on the inside, and he gets it wrong, forces the Aston Martin just a bit wide, but he actually had the racing line on that, so I think it will be a legal move getting through. And looks like Casey's up into 9th already. Started 18th on the grid, if you can remember this correctly here. He did. As joining on the session quite late, already up into the points and running. DRS now back online. I don't know why they look to be moving so slow there at the moment. Got a driver into the pits there. I think that's Maslow in the Haas. Let's have a look back what's happening out in front here with our session. Out in front, we got Mr. Rage leading the race still against OTL Elliott, who's now up into second. Of course, gap down to 1.1 seconds. And looks like he might actually be breaking that gap down. He needs to get it under a second now to have that DRS advantage. And I think he might just get to get past the Red Bull here. If not during the lap, might be doing it under a safety car, or maybe during the pit stop. Let's see what's going to happen. But Gap is so close to going under a second, which he just did. And I think Alien just has the pace to keep up with that Red Bull, and he's going to use it to his advantage. Both of them having penalties at this point in the session here. Mr. Ray feeling that pressure, and I think it might be just a 3-second penalty between both of them. But let's see what's going to happen as that gap is closing further and further getting on in the session. And looks like the Red Bull might just have to think about giving up that lead. But I highly doubt he'll want to give it up at this point in the session. Alien, of course, has some trouble on this track, but the Red Bull driver had the advantage of getting a faster lap in over in qualifying to qualify to start this race in P1. I think he's going to want to hold off to that as it is their gap up to 1.6 seconds right about now. Looks like Alien might be having some trouble in certain sectors here on track. Let's see what's going to happen as you get on through in the race here. Up into lap 12 already. Gap up to 1.7 seconds. So the Red Bull has found some pace. Not sure what he's been doing out front, but he definitely found some sort of pace in terms of getting away from the AlphaTauri behind of him.
I think he's going to try to keep it that way if he can. Beefy back up into 5th. Let's see where he is, chasing after the Ferrari in front. That's Mikey there. Let's see if he's able to get a pass on him. His teammate doing pretty well so far, up into 2nd. Let's see if he can gain another position here or not. Mikey, of course, going to start to feel a bit of pressure here. Neither of them having any penalties in the session so far, so I think they're running pretty well. Let's see how it goes as we get further on in the race. Remember, it is a 100% race. They're not going to be in much of a rush to get these overtakes done. They're going to line up the driver just a bit in front of them. Take their time in terms of decreasing the gap. They don't want to be wasting their tires in terms of pushing too hard here on track. Because they have to make the tires last until they're ready to do a pit stop at this point. They don't want to be doing one extra pit stop in terms of just using up tires. It will just put them back at the same point of losing back positions. We got Casey up into 7th right now, trying to get past the Alpine of Josh here, and he's definitely gaining position very quickly in this race. Was up into 9th. Last we had a look at him, and he's trying to get it wrong. Josh here, let's see if he does get that overtake done. Gonna have it on the outside, and might not be able to pull this off right away, but let's see what's gonna happen. Actually does get it around the outside quite easily. So he's up into 6th position. Now going to chase after Beefy, who's about 2 seconds ahead of him. Let's see how that run is going to be. We got the Alpine coming back on the inside onto the pit straight, and looks like he has the advantage with the slipstream just a bit there. And he does get back, gets back his position. Let's see if he's able to keep the position and how much longer he's going to be able to keep it for at this point here, because you can see that Red Bull definitely coming back very strongly in terms of trying to get back to position at this point. Mr. Rachel running a pretty good race out in front. Not sure what's happened. It looks like Alien might have taken a stop in this instant here. Let's have a look at that. Yep, so Alien did take a pit stop at this point. Tires, as we have it there, we can see what's going on with tires right about now. Got Kristaps up into 6th. Casey trying to get past him right about now. So he's back down to 7th. Has lost some positions. Might want to be a bit careful in this session here to not a DNF at this point. Definitely fighting quite hard though to get past the Aston Martin at this point here. Let's see if he's going to be able to pull this off. Gets it on the inside potentially, maybe here. Nope, actually he still has to hold on to 7. But definitely fighting quite strongly in terms of trying to get that overtake done. He definitely wants to get past the Aston Martin and get back to chasing after the Alpine of Josh in front of him in 5th. So we're going to have some pit stops start to happen around this point in the session, especially for those drivers who started the race on the soft tires, as they do not last as long as you would expect. The mediums, of course, lasting just a bit longer in the session. So everyone on the soft will be starting to take a stop just around now. See what's going to happen out front. Mr. Rage and Nick, Mikey, Beefy have not taken a stop as yet. Neither has Josh, I believe. We'll switch on to maybe tires just a bit. Have a look at that. See what the case is going to be at the moment here. Let's leave it at that. So 13 laps done on the soft tire so far. How much more can they pull off on it? I think they can do quite a few more laps on it. So let's see what's going to happen. Just depends how hard they have been pushing in the start of this race going on. So we did have a safety car as well. Saved them just a bit in terms of tire life here. So let's see how much more further they can go before taking a stop. Quite a few cars going wide there. We have quite a lot of penalties on track. We would expect that going through 100% race as well. Let's see what the case is going to be. Casey here chasing after Kristaps still, who is now trying to get past Josh in front of him. So it's switched to being a battle between the Aston Martin and the Red Bull to going between the Alpine and the Aston Martin now. I think they've gotten this going quite well so far. Casey here closing back the gap once again on the Aston Martin. Does a meep behind of him by 1.4 seconds. I don't think he's too worried about that at this point. Definitely wants to get past. Kristaps not having the best of luck here, trailing the Aston Martin as much as he can. Now pulls much on the inside as or the outside as he's trying to get around whichever he can here. He's going side by side with him, still not getting that advantage. Has the line here and has to just hold back just a bit to leave enough room. As we said before, a very tight circuit to get around here, so they have to be very careful. We got the Aston Martin going into the pits there, so the Red Bull now gets up the position into 6th, going to chase after Josh, now 3/10 ahead of him. Let's see if he gets the jump and gets ahead into 5th, or if he's going to have to just hold off on that position. We can see what pit stops are going to be happening here. So Kristaps in the pits, going on to the mediums here. Looks like Dixie's into the pits here as well. Done about 14 laps on that set of tires that he was on. I think he started on the mediums, he did not. So out in front, most of our drivers are still running on track. We got a full safety car right about now. Might have been a good point to do a pit stop here. Trying to figure out, there we go. So Miles is what caused that safety car. There's something's happened to his car. So second safety car in 15 laps. So we'll go another few laps with that. Probably be racing back into lap 18 or lap 19. We'll see what the case is going to be as we get on through the session here. Switches back out in front. Let's see if we're going to have some pit stops happen as we get on track. There we go. So we have the race leader getting into the pits, which means we are going to have the rest of it follow on through with this. For everyone who did not do a stop as yet, and looks like he's going to go on to the medium tires here. So switching on for a bit of a longer stint and possibly doing 2 sets of mediums to finish off this race. We'll see what the strategy is going to be. I assume he's going to do another set of mediums. This depends on how many laps these mediums can actually go in the race. But I think he's probably going to do a soft, medium, soft in here. Might just be possible to pull it off. I haven't done a test with it on track as yet to see what strategy actually really works here, but I assume it's either going to be a soft medium soft or a soft medium medium to finish off the race. For those who started on the soft, for those on the medium, it might be a medium medium soft or a medium soft medium, or some of them have switched on to the hards. Not sure how many laps those can pull here in Saudi Arabia. Or got to watch track temperature as well and how fast these tires are going to go away from them. So we'll see what's going to happen in that case. With the order as it is there right about now, we got Mr. Race still leading this race. Now behind the safety car, of course, on lap 16. Got Meep is now up into second. Hasn't taken a stop during this safety car. He did take a stop about 10 laps ago. And he's onto the hards. So 10 laps on the quite old hard. So you think he's going to be at a disadvantage when the race gets back on the way. Mikey there in third now, as he was running behind the Red Bull earlier on. Now on the mediums, we got Nick into 4th, Beefy running 5th, Chris stops in 6th, we got Josh in 7th, Vintage in 8th, Casey now down to 9th, we got Alien running 10th, Dixie runs 11th, Kodan Controller in 12th, Mazepin now 13th, got Maddie 14th, and Matt Slow in 15th. Unfortunately, we've lost Miles, Algo, and Extremist from the race session so far. So from 18 we're down to 15 drivers remaining at just about 20% into this race so far here. At about 25% into the race, maybe about 30. So we're gonna go on to the safety car at least for another lap or 2 before we do get back on the way again. Let's see how well the restart is going to go on this occasion here. Vintage has done 15 laps on his medium so far. Hasn't taken a stop in this race here so far at the moment. I think he's waiting maybe for another safety car after this one to then do a stop. He's going to run a bit of a longer stint, I guess, before doing his stop. So one driver in the session hasn't done a single stop so far. He's up into 8th, started a bit further down the field. Let's see if it's going to be an advantage to him or not as we get through the session here. Welcome Merrick to the chat, and yes, it is a 100% race, and these guys usually go for that whenever there's a new track added. We've done it for the other 2 new tracks added to the game as well. They have done both a 100% race, and both of them actually went pretty well, so we're hoping that this one does go pretty well as well. Started with 18 down to 15, not too bad I would say in terms of the way races usually go here at SLIPSTREAM. But let's see what's going to happen as we get down further into the session. Just waiting for this safety car to be on. Don't forget another restart going. Mr. Rage still holding on to this lead from the start. I think he's definitely going to try to keep it up. Meep going to be at a bit of a disadvantage here on those 11 laps old hard tires. I don't think he's going to hold up pretty well with Mikey and Nick on fresh mediums and soft behind of him. Beefy on fresh mediums as well. I think they're definitely going to be getting a bit of a jump, getting on through the restart after that safety car goes in. We'll see what the case is going to be. Of course, still a bit difficult for overtaking on the track, but these guys are finding the gaps to do it, and I think they have quite a bit of practice with a few days that the track has been up. So I think they're actually having some sort of advantage in terms of how many laps they've actually ran on track here. And I think they've done some testing with a few races in it as well. I don't think they've done 100% race on it, but they've just done enough just to at least get an idea of what strategy they would have brought into this session. Thankfully for them, no rain in the session, because I don't think anybody planned ahead for rain here in Saudi Arabia either way. So let's see what's going to happen as we get back restarted with this, but still going pretty well so far. Qualifying went pretty well. I think with the gaps that we have between drivers, sure they had enough practice on the track itself in terms of learning it, and yep, getting through that. We had quite a few invalidated laps for a few drivers as well, but still all in all going off pretty well. Got a few drivers here who seem to be having some decent pace on track, but of course they have to avoid invalidating laps. As you can see, we have a lot of penalties, but we do expect that to happen, especially with a new track on the game. We don't usually have so many penalties when it's a regular track, but yep, we're going to have to deal with that for just a bit. And that, of course, is going to affect the finishing positions, of course, of some of these drivers. We have just about, I think, 3 drivers right now without any penalties here, so let's see what happens as we get further on when this race resumes again, which should be into the next lap. We're hoping at the moment here. We went into the safety car somewhere around lap 15 or 16, if I remember correctly. So we should be able to get back racing again in this instance here. So let's see what's going to happen. Once again, guys, did forget to actually get the updated standings on stream for you guys, so hopefully we can get all of that set up for next week, which I think it's gonna be Monaco for the next race, which I was actually looking forward to. But this is even better. I knew we were gonna switch over to the new track once that was released. I did assume if he was gonna switch the session to it, which he did. So once I did check back, we did see that we were going to be doing Saudi Arabia instead of Monaco. So I think it's going to be Monaco for next week. So looking forward to another street circuit. See how well that one's going to go. We have done quite a few Monaco races in the past, and have gone pretty well in terms of driver finishing that session. We do the 50% for that, of course. We'll see what's going to happen. Safety car is going to be in on this lap, getting back racing into lap 19. Looking forward to see how that restart is going to go as we're waiting for that to happen right now. I think Mr. Rage might be a bit happy to know it's Meep behind of him with old tires on. So let's see how that restart's going to go as we got a Red Bull holding back the field already here. Getting back around to the start finish straight, and he's going to be deciding when they all go. Of course, no overtaking until they get across the start finish line. So they're going to have to just wait just a bit here until the Red Bull gets going. And I think he's gotten going there right about now. So we're back racing here in Saudi Arabia. Let's see how the restart goes with the Mercedes chasing after the Red Bull here. I think he's going to have the biggest advantage. You guys see Alpine down in the back. I think that's Josh trying to get past Christoph's there for a 6th. I'm not sure how well that's going to go, but let's have a look. Nick here and Mikey switching positions already between 3rd and 4th. Beefy trying to keep up with these two in the AlphaTauri. We got Christoph's and Josh having some serious contact, possibly down in the back there. As I think they might be having a switch. Not sure what's going to happen. Meep down to 3rd already. Nick up into 2nd. Mikey trying to get past him as well. It's only a 3/10 gap to get through. And he might just be able to pull this off. Looks like at the bottom of the grid. Looks like the McLaren of Maddie possibly getting a position up into 13. Trying to keep it going as much as he can here. And we're going to have quite a few position changes off the restart. Everyone in pretty close gaps as they get on through here. But so far so good. We got the 15 drivers still in the session after that restart. Do sometimes expect that you might have a driver out of it when they have a safety car restart happen. Just drivers are pushing as much as they can for positions. Of course, there's 100% race. They're going to try to keep it as clean as they can. You see possibly a Red Bull trying to get past. I think that's Casey trying to get past the Alpine there for a 7 down at the back. Not sure where that's going for him. We can see Beefy trying to keep up with the Ferrari here, who is keeping up with Meep, trying to get past Meep if he can. Looks like he might just have that advantage as he gets through to the next turn. Might take it on the inside. And he actually holds it on. Keeps it pretty clean, at least for now. Doesn't want to risk a move at this point here in terms of losing a position. So Mikey has a 210 gap, now down to 110 between him and the Mercedes, and he's on the soft finish straight. Going to have the advantage going down into turn 1, and I think he should get that position up. He does get it up, so he's up into third, Meep down to 4th. As you said, those hard tires are going to be a disadvantage to him, especially being up old tires on the car there. Beefy is the next guy to get past him. He's around about by 2/10. And let's see what his advantage is going to be. Josh, of course, chasing after Beefy by about 4/10 and trying to keep up. As you can see, Casey down to 9th right now. Still trying to get past Alien now as it is. Might not have the best of luck on the back there. We'll see what's going to happen. You got the Alpine trying to get past BP here as well. So he's under some pressure at the moment in terms of trying to keep his position and trying to get past the Mercedes in front of him. Now they're going to go side by side on this one here, and might be both trying to get past that car at the same time. Might be a 3 wide going into one of these turns in terms of keeping forward position here with Meep. And we got an incident down at the back there. Beefy's out of the race, and that might potentially be a full safety car again there as he's stuck on track. And there's a lot of debris on track there at the moment. Let's see what's going to happen in that case. Are we going to have a full safety car, or is it going to be a VSC or just a yellow flag situation? I'm not sure, but as the moment as it is, it's a yellow flag there in sector 2 for that incident there. So definitely some contact, I would assume, between Christophs and Beefy maybe for that position, because Meek was just in front. Did expect that could have gone quite badly. It looks like it's just going to be a yellow flag situation. They've cleared that up pretty quickly. It's quite surprisingly with all that debris on track. DRS back online again as we continue on out in front with a 7-10 gap between the Red Bull of Mr. H and Nick there in the McLaren, who's trying to catch up to him for the race lead at this point. Mr. H has not given up the race lead from lap 1 to lap 21. He's kept that going. I think he might be able to keep that going all the way through. He's on the mediums, of course, Nick on the softs, and both 4 laps also. Of course, we know the McLaren has the advantage here, has the DRS advantage as well as the slipstream advantage, and let's see if he's going to be able to use all of that to potentially get past the Red Bull. Of course, if he does get past Mr. H, will then switch it up and have the advantage to himself to try to get back to position. Let's see how that's going to go between them. It's now down to 2/10, and I think it's going to continue through that. Another 3-second penalty for Mr. H out in front. He's now feeling pressure from the McLaren, who definitely wants that position. Not able to get it even with the soft tires at this point here. Needs to be a bit careful in terms of overtaking that Red Bull though, because doesn't want to risk having more penalties and then will be losing back the position down at the end of the race. We'll see what's going to happen, but so far so good as they kept it on going. We've lost 4 drivers from the session. We're down to 14. Quite a big collision with Forget Beefy on the session though. Quite surprised there wasn't at least a VSC. It looks like Nick has finally gotten his position up and getting fastest lap as well, but the Red Bull's going to come back at him on the outside. Not going to be able to get that position back as yet, but definitely going to keep trying at this point here. But not a bad overtake from the McLaren driver there. So Nick now going to try to extend his lead as much as he can on those soft tires. I think he's going to use them up as much as he can here. Let's see what that's going to work for him. I'm trying to keep that back going there. So he's out of DRS range at this point here. So the Rebel driver under a bit of pressure right now, trying to figure out how to get back into the lead of this race. He's lost his DRS advantage. Not going to have much of a slipstream advantage. He's going to have to just use race pace to try to get his back. He's trying to get back within a second of the McLaren to try to get back the DRS advantage at this point. Casey getting a 3-second penalty. I think Vintage is the only driver on track here at the moment without a penalty. We'll see how well that is going to go in terms of getting down to the end of the session. I think our gaps are starting to get just a bit bigger between drivers at this point here as we get further into the session. Let's take that off in the moment and see what's going to happen. Let's get on through. Trying to keep an eye on these two out in front. Gap down to about 5/10 between. Let's get on board the Red Bull. See how well we can see them using up as much of the track as they can. trying to save some time around here, and he's trying to find an angle to get around that. McLaren tries to take it on the inside of turn 1. See if that works for him or not. And looks like they both have enough room to go through with this. They're still side by side, and looks like Red Bull has to see that position, give it back, and still holds on to second at the moment. Hasn't lost much time. He's down by 3/10. Still going to try to get by him if he can. Might have to line them up on our next lap, though. We're on lap 23, and looks like we've lost Josh there in the session as well. We're down to 13 drivers remaining, and he's out. That's a full safety car. Something's happened to him. Not sure if that was self-inflicted or happened with another car. We're on lap 23 and under another safety car here at the moment for the Alpine driver, crashing out in the middle of the track. So down to 13 remaining. Let's see what this 13 can finish. Hopefully we can have at least 8 or more finishes race. We know there are going to be at least a minimum amount of drivers to finish off the session, being a 50 lap race as it is. We're on lap 23. By the time we get back restarted after the safety car, we're going to be at the halfway point of this session here. Let's see if we're going to have any pit stops during the safety car here as well. Of course, they've just finished with some pit stops pretty shortly, so I don't think they're going to take the chance of doing that. Of course, the gap between Nick and Mr. HR is going to be closed up quite a bit. And in the meanwhile, these guys run on the safety car. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, sorry about that. So back racing again. So looks like, let's see what's going to happen. Then you get to see actually the change up in the race as it is. So Christoph's currently leading at the moment here as we have Nick currently second going through. And looks like he's keeping the lead out in front against Nick there. Let's see what's going to happen. Both McLaren's running pretty high up in the session. We got his teammate down in fourth. Mr. H down to third right now. I think they took a stop. I didn't really watch what happened. At that point, let's just switch this on, see what's going on here. So 2 stops for some of these drivers so far. And a few drivers on fresh tires will run through. Christoph's, of course, 10 laps old on those mediums. Let's see if he's going to be able to keep that position up as it is there. We do have Mr. Ray trying to get around Nick here, back up into second if he can, of course, on the fresh soft tires now against him, which was the other way around on the previous portion of the race before the safety car happened. So Christoph now going to be under a lot of pressure out in front to keep that lead against the Red Bull here, who's now gotten up into second. He's behind him. Nick, of course, on fresh mediums as well coming on through. His teammate now behind him there on the old soft tire, but still going to be able to keep that position against, hopefully behind with Mikey there, who actually now gets by already. So he gets around on the outside of that turn and he gets a position in. So he's up into fourth, going to chase after Nick at the moment here. And we got the Red Bull of Mr. Rage going into the pits. Did he take damage on that lap there? We're trying to figure out what happened there at the moment to see if he's doing a front wing change, and he is doing a wing change. Did take some damage on the car. Going to be doing a stop. Going to be going down to the back of the grid, of course. This is going to be a big disadvantage to Red Bull at this point here. Let's see what's going to happen as we get on through the rest of the session. 12 drivers still in this as we go on through. Casey out of the session, has retired from it. Meep out of the session now, has retired as well. Down to 11 drivers remaining at this point in the session here. Let's see what's going to happen with the 11 that we have remaining. Out in front, we do have the Aston Martin of Christoph still leading by about a 10 against the McLaren of Nick here. He's still trying to get by up into the lead. Mikey, of course, in the Ferrari into third, and he's only at 7/10 behind. Still coming on through this. Let's see if he's going to get advantage or not. Maddie, of course, in fourth, and Corner Controller running in fifth. His teammate up, still leading this race. Let's see how much longer he's able to keep that lead under some serious pressure at the moment from Nick in terms of keeping it. 2/10 is where the gap is, and of course, with DRs going to be coming online back here pretty shortly, that's going to be a bit more advantage if he can keep himself within that 1 second range, which he's doing pretty well so far. Mikey, of course, now within a second of Nick here as well. So advantage against advantage going on through in the session. Maddie is only about 1.2 seconds down from them. He's trying to keep up as much as he can here, but Christoph's having some luck in terms of keeping the position, but he's now side by side with the McLaren. Let's see who's going to get it, because McLaren has the inside going around to the start finish straight here, and looks like he gets back up into the lead against the Aston Martin. Of course, DRS now online. Let's see if that's going to be an advantage to Christoph there, who's now behind the McLaren, and he's within a second, so should be able to have that advantage once he goes through the detection point on track there. Gap is now about 6/10. Looks like the McLaren going to try to extend his lead and possibly try to keep it up by a second or more if he can. Let's see what's going to happen. Already up to 9/10 and going on through. Going to go on down to Alien here in fifth at the moment. The only AlphaTauri currently left in the session, and he is currently trailing off the next McLaren driver. That's Maddie there, and trying to take it on the inside. He's going to get up into fourth place and gets the position away pretty well actually, so he's going to hold off on that. Mikey is the next driver ahead of him by 1.6 seconds. See what's going to happen. Nick out in front has held on to the lead, and he's increasing his gap up to 1.2 seconds. He's going to keep Christoph's out of the DRS advantage, which is going to be useful to him, and a bit less pressure as well in terms of worrying about the car behind him having that DRS advantage. Mikey, of course, has the DRS advantage against the Aston Martin though, and he's only 3/10 behind, so we're looking at a potential overtake from Mikey to get up into second place. Let's see if he's going to be able to do it. Of course, I think he's on fresher tires as well. 3 laps only on those mediums against Christoph with 12 laps on his mediums. Okay, so still 11 drivers remaining in this race. We're past the halfway point here right about now, going on through on lap 29 of 50. Remember, it takes an average of a minute 30 something seconds to get around the track. Average about that to figure out how many laps will be remaining. We got Alien here having some problem trying to keep up with Christoph right about now, but he's definitely trying to get by on those fresh soft tires, so he's going to use this to his advantage and just use the pace as he has, and he's keeping right up to the rear of that car, trailing him through, and definitely looking at getting an overtake happen here. One of the closest gap we have currently is only a 10th at the moment. He's just waiting for a point on track to pull alongside him, which he just did. He's going to go around the outside. And it looks like he definitely is going to be able to get that position up here as they get back away. And I think the AlphaTauri got the position. He's back on the racing line. So the Aston Martin is down to 4th. I think with his teammate on behind him there. Out in front, Nick still leads the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix against Mikey, who's now up into 2nd, 1.1 seconds behind. No DRS advantage. Going to try to keep up with him as much as he can. Both on the same medium 4-lap old tires. Let's see what's going to happen in that case here, because they're on equal playing grounds except for the setups on the car. Let's see what's going to work. It's a 1.1 second gap. It's starting to fall down just a bit as Nick is going to start to feel some more pressure when that gap goes under a second, which he just did. So DRS advantage will now be going towards the Ferrari, and possibly will be trying to get a bit of slipstream advantage if he can get a bit closer to the McLaren out in front. We'll see what will happen. Alien, of course, 5/10 now behind Mike. He's up into 3rd, onto a podium position in this race, getting the fastest sector 3 time at the moment here on the lap. So definitely has some pace, of course, on the soft tires as well. So has that bit more advantage in terms of race pace around here, down by about 2/10 now behind the Ferrari. So definitely looking at potentially getting an overtake here. Got Dixie into the pits, got Vintage into the pits there as well, getting onto some new tires. Of course, Vintage 29 laps on his mediums. He's now doing his first pit stop in this race. Quite incredible at this point here that he's pulled out 29 laps so far, with these guys running just under that and doing stops. So let's see what's going to happen. He's used up as much as he can. Now going on to the soft tires. He's now making a switch, but he's doing the softs right about now. He will have to switch on to another set of softs, possibly. We'll see if that's going to be able to finish the race or not. Got about 20 laps, 20 and a half laps or so to finish off the race, and I think Vintage might just be able to pull this off, and he might actually be able to gain him some positions here. We'll see what's going to happen in that case as he's getting on through. Nick still leads by Mikey. There we go, 3/10 between them as they get on through here. Alien of 10th behind that Ferrari, so he's looking to get into 2nd place. I don't think the Ferrari is too worried about getting into 1st. He's trying to keep on into 2nd, and not going to go so well here as the AlphaTauri is around the outside and might be able to get advantage. About 3 wide going into the next turn, and looks like he gets all the way up into the lead against Nick and Mikey here. Not even sure how that happen, but got sort of slipstream off the Ferrari, got all the way up into the lead. Nick, of course, 2/10 only behind. He's going to try to get back that position here if he can. Let's see what's going to happen in that case. Of course, Alien on these soft tires has that advantage in terms of pace around here at the moment on the faster tire, and I think Nick was still on the mediums, not too old tires, so he should be able to actually catch back up to the AlphaTauri and possibly get past him. We'll see what's going to happen. So far so good from what we can see here. Not sure what the penalty situation is at the moment. We're not even going to bother with that until we get maybe to the final 5 laps of this race. We'll see what that's going to be like and how much that's going to affect the positions here on track. Got a 4:10 gap right about now between Codon Controller and Christoph's down there for 4th. See, those two are going to switch that position, or they're going to just keep it as it is. Nick 9/10 behind Alien. He's trying to keep that gap under a second, trying to keep himself with the DRS advantage if he can. Mike, of course, still within DRS range, and I think he's just trying to keep up with these two out in front at the moment. Let's see how well it's going to go though. So I think we're going to just follow on with this at the moment here. Of course, we are expecting at least maybe one more stop for some of these drivers. Most of them on fresh tires, or at least new enough tires to get to the end of the race at this point here. Especially those on those 6-lap old mediums. I think they definitely have enough laps left in them to get to all the way down to the end of the Grand Prix, but does depend if another safety car comes into play for those drivers out in front. They might be looking at taking another stop, getting onto a fresh set of softs to finish off this race, and that might be their final pit stops. If they do that stop, we'll see what's going to happen. OTL Alien leading this race at the moment, starting pretty lower off on the grid, but has a pretty good position going on through here. 9/10 is where the gap is between him and the McLaren, currently 2nd, Mikey in 3rd. He's trying to keep up with them as much as he can, 1.2 seconds out, and of course no DRS advantage to them at the moment. Not sure if Nick is within a second when going across the detection point on track. That is, of course, how they get the DRS advantage. You gotta be within a second of the car in front of you when going through the detection point, then you get the DRS advantage on that current lap. Kristaps trying to keep as much as he can behind corner controller for that position, but I don't think he's getting much luck with that. Matt Slow, they're still in this race in 6th, of course, and going on through. Unfortunate for the drivers that we've lost in this session so far. That's Meet KC, we got Josh lost, Beefy, Miles, Alvo, and Extremist. Quite a few extreme incidents happening in this session as well. Of course, a new track added on to the game, so still a bit difficult with drivers, and the amount of practice they've had on the track, it hasn't been more than a week yet for the track on the game, so still minimum practice, and they're doing pretty well for 100% race going so far. 11 drivers remaining, some pretty impressive lap times in qualifying. Pretty close gaps between them, and I think some exciting racing still as we get on through this. Matt Slow here chasing after Kristaps, trying to go around the outside side by side with him. Let's see what's going to happen. I think the Aston Martin trying to keep it behind each other, and a bit of contact between those two, wheel-to-wheel contact as they get on through. And looks like the Haas gets up into 5th, puts Kristaps down to 6th. Don't think he's too happy about the way he got that position ahead there. Bit of wheel-to-wheel contact getting through, but he's still holding on to 5th. Kristaps gonna have to try to get his position back if he wants it at this point. Out in front, OTL Alien leading by about 2 seconds right about now, so he has that advantage in terms of pace at the moment, and just trying to keep a nick in 2nd. Of course, penalties might change things up just a bit, which we'll have a look at that coming further down to the end of the session. We're going to keep that hidden at least for now. Let's see how much penalties each of these guys have, and how much that's actually going to change positions around here on the grid order when they do finish this race. Of course, we can see the gaps are pretty close with most of the drivers, except with Dixie there in 26 seconds behind Mr. Rage. Of course, Mr. Rage was leading this race from lap 1 all the way to the halfway point, and then lost that lead. Had to take a stop after doing a wing change. And is now down to 8. He's trying to get himself back up as much as he can here. 1.1 seconds behind Maddie, of course. Now decreasing that gap to within a second. Let's see if he's able to get by the McLaren. He might just be able to do this. Of course, Maddie there 18 laps down on his soft tires, so they're kind of going to start to go here. And I think he's going to start to lose some much grip here. Not going to be able to keep up with this Red Bull, so the Red Bull might be able to get that position up on him, especially if he does do a pit stop. Let's see what's going to happen. We do expect Maddie possibly to do another pit stop here, because those tires are definitely not going to be lasting until lap 50. I don't expect they will. The Red Bull is already up into 7. Now going to chase after Kristaps, who's 5.9 seconds ahead of him. Let's see if he's going to be able to pull that off in the next few laps that are coming in the session. Of course, 18 laps done for Kristaps on those mediums. Can he pull off this race by finishing the race with those set of tires? I'm not quite sure. They have done quite a few laps. It might be a close call on that. He might have to do a stop and switch it off over to the soft tires to go off to the end. I think 18 and going off another 16 and a half laps might be just a bit too much to pull off on those mediums. Just depends on how much he's been actually preserving those tires, which I don't think it's been that much, so he might have to do another stop here, which is going to put Mr. Rage up into 6, chasing after Matt Slow there. Let's see how the advantage is going to go. We do have Matt Slow, of course, trying to get past Coda Controller here for 4th position still. See how well he's going to get through that. There goes the Haas, gets past. It's side by side with the Aston Martin, but actually gets past up into 4th. So we got the Aston Martin now down to 5th. Some minor changes happening as we get at this point in the race. Lap 35 of 50. We're looking at about 15 and a half laps more to finish off the session. At least another 20-25 minutes of racing, depending on if you have another safety car or not. Average about that. Average about at least 20 minutes or so. So we've lost our close gaps at this point in the session here. I think the only close gaps we have at the moment are what we got between Matt Slow and Code and Controller here for 4th. So we're trying to keep an eye on this and see how that's going with them. Of course, looking at these tires, I think we're going to keep them on here at the moment, see what's going to happen. We do expect so many drivers will have to take a stop because we're looking at 19 laps on Kristoff's tires. He will have to take a pit stop here, get rid of those tires, get onto a fresh set of softs. But I think they're possibly holding out to see if they're going to have a safety car happen here. I think that has possibly had some contact with the wall there for a second. Was trying to get around the outside of the Aston Martin. Didn't get to get that done. Still has a 5-10 gap though towards him there. And let's see how that's going to work as he gets on through this. But so far so good in the section. Still 11 drivers remaining on lap 36 as we get on through here. Getting to lap 50. Still an 8-10 gap between these two as they continue to fight for this position here. OTL Alien out in front still leads this race by 2.9 seconds, so not doing too bad with that. 13 laps done on his set of soft tires. We got at least another 15 laps to go in this race. Let's see if he's able to pull that off going all the way to the end of the session or not. If it was a 40-lap race, definitely so. Being a 15-lap race, I'm not sure what's going to happen with those who've done currently over 10 laps on those soft tires. Are they going to be able to pull it off all the way to the end of the session? It's going to be a bit of a close call, especially with those on laps of 13 and 14 laps on those soft tires here. Those on 11 laps with the mediums here, that's Nick and Mikey, definitely will be able to make it all the way to the end of the session. So those two not looking giving this up. OTL Alien though might potentially have to take another stop here as these two are fighting off for full position in the session. Unless he's actually able to find enough pace on those tires to keep it ahead by 3 seconds and actually still finish this race. We'll see what's going to happen. Of course, we have to have a look at the penalty situation very soon to see how that's working out between drivers who are going to be finishing off the race and how many positions they might be losing or gaining, just depending on what the penalties are at the moment. Actually, let's have a what's happening down here. Kristoff's trying to get past Mr. Rage and back, and of course Mr. Rage up into 6th right now, having that advantage on the fresher soft tires that he has there. Kristoff's, of course, 21 laps done on his mediums. We got another 13.5 laps to finish up this Grand Prix. So can he actually pull that off? Let's see what's going to happen in that case there. It's going to be a tough call with it, and these tires are definitely going to be worn off, coming that close to 30-something laps at the end of this. Now a 4-10 gap between Maslow and Coda Controller there. Trying to keep an eye on those two as well as they go for it. Now Mr. Rage is ahead up into 6th. He's 2.3 seconds behind Maslow there in the Haas. And of course on these fresh tires he's pushing as much as he can here to get all the way to the end of the race with them. And he has the pace at the moment in that Red Bull, up to 2 seconds. He's trying to catch up, gain as much positions as he can here, potentially to get behind Monkey if he can down here, to possibly get on. I'm hoping that the OTL Alien takes a stop, will put him back up to a podium position, just depending on what the penalty situation is as well. We'll see how well that's going to work for him. Master and Coda Controller switch positions out in front. Let's see how well that's going for those two. So there's Martin down to 5th again here. Out in front, gap is extending 3.8 seconds, now 3.9, between the AlphaTauri and the Nick there in 2nd. See how that's going to continue. Mikey another 5.6 seconds down. Of course, we still have to look at these penalties coming up. At least by lap 40, I think we'll have a look at the penalties and see what we're dealing with in terms of the final 10 laps of this Grand Prix. Matt Slow into the pits, and 4 laps only on the side. Might have taken some damage, I'm not sure. I think he did take some damage, so he's into the pit lane right now, getting a change of tires going. Let's see if anyone else is going to take a stop coming down to the final 12 laps of this race. It's 15 laps done on the tires there for OTL Alien. Has another 12 to go, make it about 27-28 laps. I think it's possible for him to pull that off. Either way, I think he's going to try to pull it off, because he's keeping a decent gap between himself and Nick, and I think he's going to rather stay out in P1, risk losing at least maybe 1 position to finish off the race on those soft tires, rather than take a stop and lose quite a few positions in this instance here. I think it's all about strategy at this point here. We got Mr. Rage 2/10 behind the Aston Martin here, and he is definitely looking at getting by with that pace that he's currently going with, and that's going to put him up into 4th behind Mikey, where he wants to be, and then possibly try to break that gap down. He now has the inside line, gets ahead of the Aston Martin, and is going to hold on to P4. I think we're going to follow on with him as he gets through the grid. Where he took a stop and had to do a wing change, fell way down the order. Now trying to get back up as much of high into a podium position as he can here. He's up into P4. The Aston Martin, of course, fighting back with him to get back to position here. I don't think he's going to get it back at this point. I might have to just leave it as it is. Still trying to go side by side with the Red Bull. Tires are just a bit older, but he's still trying with it. I think he's falling back by about 5/10 right now, about half a second. So let's see if he's able to keep up still or lose more time. Of course, Mr. Rage is now 4.1 seconds behind the Ferrari of Mikey there. See how that gap is going to work with him. Doesn't look like we're going to have anyone take a stop here. Of course, Kristaps, we're looking at him. 23 laps done on his set of tires. He's going to be doing at least 34 laps in total if he goes to the end of this race on those mediums. So I'm watching to see, is he going to take the chance of taking a stop here or not. Every driver on grid has a penalty, or penalties as we may call it at this point. We're going to have a look at that in just a bit, see what's happening. Mr. Ray 3.6 seconds behind Mikey now, gained about 5/10 in the past lap that we've been looking at him, so he's gaining time pretty quickly, of course, on the soft tires and fresher soft tires from the mediums that Mikey's currently on. So he does have that advantage in terms of trying to get ahead, and he might be looking to get himself all the way up into a podium position back here if he can. Let's have a look at what penalties look like here at the moment. So it looks like it's a 15-second penalty for both OTL Alien and Nick running P1, P2. They finish right where they are. That's what we're finishing. It's 11 seconds from Mikey here, 15 seconds to Mr. Ray. He's looking to get up into the third place position, and a 4-second difference between him and Mikey there for that position. If he does, you have to have a 4-second gap to keep P3 at that point. They'll see what's going to happen in that case. As it is, it looks like P1, P2 might be able to keep their positions if things continues the way they are, but we'll have a look at penalties coming further down to the end of the session. I'll say that out for now and have a look on how this gap is coming down to 3.1 second between the Red Bull and the Ferrari right now. And this might just keep closing in as we get further down to the end of this race. We're on lap 40 of 50. Got another 10.5 laps remaining in this session here. So all in all, I think it's been quite an interesting session coming off through here at the Jeddah Street Circuit for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Quite an interesting view, as we've seen quite a few times on the overhead camera, getting around the track with the lights and a lot of different colors as well. So all in all, I think they did a pretty good job in terms of getting the circuit set up to add on to the game. I think the drivers are having a lot of fun driving on it as well. The race has been quite interesting, qualifying interesting. Let's see how they finish this off. Started with 18 drivers, we're down to 11 remaining. Quite a few unfortunate incidents on track, but of course did expect that to happen, of course, on a new track. Minimum amount of laps these guys have done here. I think they try to get as much practice in as much as they can. We are missing a few drivers, but still, all in all, went pretty well so far on lap 41 of 50 here, and for a 100% race. Of course, the commitment to the guys here, and good job on them, at least for trying to keep this going for as long as they can. Of course, not easy. If you haven't done one of these before, it is not easy keeping the focus that you got to keep going through a 100% race here on the F1 game. Very difficult, especially whether it's on controller or using a wheel. Very, very difficult keeping that going at this point. Takes literally about an hour and a half to get through the entire session with the qualifying, short qualifying session, and getting through the race session itself. On stream, I think we've been live for 1 hour 44 minutes so far. So the race itself, I think, takes about an hour or so, hour and a half. Let's give it an hour and a half. Usually when we do this session, it takes about a total of about 2 hours. I think usually on stream we're usually doing. So with short qualifying and a full 100% race, we're running about a 2-hour session. So that's how long these drivers have to be on it. And of course, the race session itself, an hour and a half into it, they have to keep driving for that amount of time. Very difficult with this controller or wheel. So still, gotta say good job on the 11 drivers still in the session at this point, going on through with the final 8.5 laps remaining here. We're on lap 42. 1.4 seconds is what the gap is right now between the Red Bull and the Ferrari, and this of course being a fight for second place on the grid. As you can see, as the race order is at the moment, OTL Alien leads, Mikey in second, Mr. Rage in third, we got Code and Controller in fourth, Christoph's fifth, Nick there sixth, we got Maddie in seventh, Matt Slow in eighth, Vintage in ninth, we got Mazzup in 10th, Dixie in 11th at the moment as it is there. Let's have a look at position changes. So what we're potentially looking at is OTL Alien winning, possibly winning this race, as he now has 11.5 second gap against Mikey there, and getting driver of the day here as well, because he's gotten all the way up to P1 in this race. Done about 5 stops to do it, but still not too bad at all here. As he stops as it is, tires as it is there right about now, as we're going on through, and he's 19 laps on these soft tires going. Pretty impressive so far for that. Christoph's 26 laps on those mediums and going. We still got 7.5 laps remaining to finish off the race. I think it's going pretty well. It's now a 3:10 gap though, 2:10s down actually between Mikey and Mr. Rage, and the Red Bull is gonna go for it on the inside and down the start finish. It looks like he gets up into second place where he wanted to be. It's 11.6 seconds between him and OTL Alien for the lead. Can he potentially get into the lead of this race? We'll see what's gonna happen. As far as we know, it was a 15-second penalty between both of them. Let's have a look if it's the same. It's now an 18-second penalty for OTL Alien, 15 seconds for Mr. Rage. So Mr. Rage just needs a 3-second, under a 3-second gap between himself and the AlphaTauri out in front, and he gets the race win by default here. If he can pull it off, he doesn't need to actually get ahead of him. Just needs to get within 3 seconds, break the gap down to just under 3 seconds, and he gets that position. 11.3 seconds is where it's currently at. Let's see if he's going to be able to pull this off going down to the end of the session here now. Has about another 7 laps to pull this off, so let's see what's going to happen in that span. He's pulled off quite a feat in terms of getting back all the way up into second. I think it was somewhere around 8th or 9th after that pit stop of the front wing chain, so he's gained quite a few positions over the past few laps. Let's see if he's able to break the gap down within the next 5 laps or so for a potential overtake, or at least keep it within 3 seconds if he can. I think that's all he needs to do, and the Red Bull could potentially take a win here for the first Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Let's see who's going to be getting that win. Always a bit of a prestigious position to be in to win one of these races on the first race of the new tracks that we have added to the game. See what's going to happen in that case, but he's looking pretty good in terms of a potential win here. Let's see if he's going to get any more penalties, or OTL Alien will get another penalty. I'm not sure what's going to happen in that case. Anything could happen coming down to the end of the session. We're on lap 44 of 50, and it's coming quite close down for this. Mikey's still about 6 tenths, now 8 tenths behind. The Red Bull is still trying to keep up with this position that he currently has there. Of course, having penalties himself as well. I think let's have a look how many penalties does he have. And he only has an 11-second penalty, so he's still looking at potentially getting up into second place. We'll see what's going to happen. This is all dependent on whether Mr. Rage gets past OTL Alien or not. And of course, he needs to build a gap between himself and that Ferrari. So let's see what's going to happen as we get on through with this here. Break this back down to showing that. I'm going to leave tires on until we get further down the end. We'll bring back penalties on, and this we still got 11 drivers in this. Dixie's still in this race and going, even though in 11th at this point. It has kept it going through for 44 laps, so doing pretty well so far. It's a 10-second gap between OTL Alien and Mr. Rage for the race lead. Of course, within 3 seconds they will be doing a switch. That's going to put Alien down to second. Mikey will lose his advantage in terms of his 3 seconds to 5 seconds to deal with to get up into second, which is going to put Alien down to third. If that does happen, that's going to be the switch and the top 3 finishing position. So it should be Mr. Rage in P1 with Alien down to third, and Mikey will take second if the gap closes down to 3 seconds and under between the top 2 at the moment, which is not looking too promising at this point here. At this point, if it continues like this, looks like OTL Alien might still win the race. Mr. Rage will have to take third, and Mikey will take second in that instance there. We haven't had a look at the rest of the grid as yet, but they might be changing their orders up just a bit as well, depending on how much penalties they do have in the session here. We'll keep this going, see what's going to happen. But of course, Alien out in front, using everything he has right about now to keep that gap 10 seconds and above if he has to, with about 5.5 laps remaining to finish off the race here. I think we're making pretty good time as well with this Grand Prix. in terms of finishing off. Didn't have as much safety cars as we expected. We have about 2 or 3 safety cars in total, I think. I think we had about 3 safety cars, no VSCs, a few yellow flags in the race, getting on through. Gap still 10 seconds here as we get on through this. We got Nick and Code and Control. Let's have a look at these two. In the meanwhile, the gap out the front is starting to break down by our 10th at least per lap. Let's see if that's going to continue on through. Code and Control, of course, in 9/10 behind Nick, trying to keep up with him, but not having the best of luck here. Mikey's starting to lose some time right about now. 2.3 seconds, now 2.4 is what his gap is towards the Red Bull in front. He needs to be within 3 seconds in terms of getting up into second place on the podium at the end of this race, and he needs to make sure that gap does not exceed 3 seconds, and it's starting to go. He has a 6/10 gap to play with here at the moment, and he's starting to lose it just a bit. Bit of pressure coming on closer down to the end of the session. Mr. Ray starting to gain some time out in front here. Let's see what's happening between these three at the moment. And this could potentially come down to a switch between the top two. It's about 4.5 laps to finish off this Grand Prix. 9.5 seconds to break it down. Needs another 6 seconds gained in terms of potentially keeping that position here. So far so good as it is. I think Mr. Raging Rebel doing a pretty good job in terms of trying to keep up. He's now 9.1 seconds behind the AlphaTauri. Needs another 6.1 seconds still, or 6.2 seconds at this point as it is, because he needs to get this car within 3 seconds. Let's have a look at penalties. Let's keep penalties on actually. Yeah, I think we're going to keep penalties on, see how this is going to play out between them. Monkey is losing his gap right now, 2.9 seconds. He needs to not go over 3 seconds, which he's about to do here, which means he is potentially might be losing that position. Now he has just a 4-second gap to play with. 9/10 left for him to deal with here, and needs to make sure it doesn't go over 4 seconds. He does lose out on second place. We'll have to keep that car down into third, unless there's a switch between Alien and Mr. Rage for the lead of this race. The gap is 9.2 seconds. We're on lap 47 of 50 here, so 3.5 laps or so remaining. Not a lot of time in terms of getting this done. Let's see how this is going to play out going down to the end. Vintage in 9th right now, trying to get past Mazepin there for 8th. Let's see if that's going to work for him. But it looks like he is going to gain that position either way, having only 8 seconds of penalties compared to Mazepin with 18 seconds of penalties. We've seen a lot much more on different races before, so counting this 18 seconds, not so bad for a 100% race on a new track. Let's see how this race is going to finish off. 8.7 seconds is what we're down to right about now between top two, and 3.7 seconds between Mr. Rage and Mikey here, and another 3/10, and that's going to be Mr. Rage holding on to second place. He needs to at least try to get that second place first in terms of before trying to get over into the lead, but he's still trying to push as much as he can. 3.8 seconds what it's down to, coming down to the wire, down to the end of this race. We'll see who's going to hold what position as we finish off. And so far looking pretty good in terms of Alien Sin winning this race, and not going to be a bad finish for him, because he has shown some significant pace here at the Jeddah Street circuit. Of course, had a bit of a difficult time chaining the lap together in qualifying, but still has proven himself in the race as in terms of getting up into P1, held on to the position, and he's now ahead by 8.8 seconds. Has a 3-second gap to play with still, even if it goes down just a bit more. So still enough time for him. With the next 2.5 laps come for the finish of the race, I think he might just be able to pull this off, because it's seeming very difficult for the Red Bull to possibly gain that much time in very few laps that's remaining here. Mikey is now up by 4.24 seconds, so he's losing out in terms of getting second place. Mr. Ray looking to hold on to second place on the podium. Mikey might have to take third. It's a 21-second gap there for Nick, so he's going to fall down the order by at least 2 positions. He's possibly going to go down to 6. It's going to be Code and Controller in 4th, Christoph's in 5th, going to be Nick there in 6th, Maddie will have to take 7th with a 24-second gap, and looks like it might be Mazepin there down to 9th. Vintage up into 8th. Dixie there will have possibly switch positions as well, or maybe keep 10th. And looks like Matslow will have to finish in 11th as it is right about now. I think that's going to be the finishing order of the grid if things keep the way they are right about now with the gaps that we currently have. So let's see what's going to happen in that case. Code Control and Christopher looking at a potential switch with a 3-second gap to play with, and it's only 2.1 seconds between them. So those two might be doing a switch at the end of this for 5th and 6th, or well, as it is for 4th and 5th as they finish off the session. Gap down to 8.1, well, 8 seconds between OTL Alien and Mr. Raid. Still needs another few seconds to go with this, another 5 seconds gain at least in the next lap if he can. We're on lap 49 of 50. It's looking pretty good for the AlphaTauri out in front. Unfortunate for his teammate not being able to finish his race. Had a pretty nasty accident in the session there, and then got a DNF with that there. So let's see what's going to happen as his teammate is now going to finish off. 7.7 seconds is what the gap is. I think he's still going to hold off through with the next lap and a half that's remaining here in the session. So I highly doubt it might actually come down to the point. It's now a 21-second gap. OTL Alien got another penalty, so now 21-second of penalties for him. So that leaves about 6 seconds to play with. Mr. Raid needs 1.6 second gain in the next lap, and he can still take away the win. Unfortunately, the AlphaTauri driver gained another penalty, which is unfortunate. He's going to have to hope the Red Bull gains another penalty because he can potentially pull off that 1.6 seconds in the next lap that's remaining in the session, as we're coming quite close down to the end of it. So this was going to be close coming down to the end of the race. It's now 7.5. He potentially could gain the time in a lap. Let's see if that's going to happen or not. He does need to get back, just needs to gain 1.6 seconds. And I think he's going to have that race win, but it's going to be quite close between the two of them. We'll keep it at this point with the penalties on and see what happens on the end of this. I think they might have put a bit of pressure on himself by taking another 3-second penalty here. He's potentially going to have to hope that the Red Bull driver does not get that gap down. He's down to 7.4, 7.3. He's gained about 3/10 so far. We got Alien out in front on the final lap here around the Jeddah Street circuit, and hoping to take the win for this race, and might be taken away by that Red Bull if he gains time. Down to 7.1 seconds, has about a second more to deal with. Let's see if it's going to come down to that point here right now. They're on board right now with OTL Alien on his final lap around the track here. Now getting into sector 2, hoping to finish this lap with the 1.1 second gap that he has to play with at this point here. And let's see if that's going to be the advantage that he just needs to keep his position here, and it's coming quite close down, just a second between them to deal with that finishing position as he now gets around the final turn. I think he did there, back onto the start finish straight. Looks like he is going to get the advantage, gets across the line, takes the first win here for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Not a bad finish for OTL Alien, and I think he's going to be getting driver of the day as well. We got Mystery gets across the line to take second place on the podium. Mikey, unfortunately, with a 6.5 second gap, will have to take third place on the podium, but still not a bad finish for the Ferrari driver. Nick here looking to lose about 2 positions, because I think Christoph is going to go to 4th. Code and Controller might be going into 5th. Let's have a look on how that switch is going to happen when these two get across the line. I think they're coming off just behind each other by about 2.1 seconds. So I think that might be the switch happening. Actually, it looks like Nick held on to his position. Quite surprisingly, he held on to his position there. So Nick holds on to 4th there, and Christoph's in 5th. Code and Controller 6th. And looks like Maddie will take 7, Vintage in 8, Mazepin 9, Dixie 10th, and Matslow in 11th. Quite an interesting session. I think we're just waiting for the McLaren to get across the line. Where is he on track? I think he's getting into the final portion of the track, and now gets across the line. That's it there, guys, for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Quite an interesting session. Thank you guys to everyone who joined on to the stream to watch a very long race, and to all the drivers who participated in the race, and for those of them who actually made it all the way to the end of the race, 11 drivers out of 18. Not a bad race. OTL Alien takes the win for the first Saudi Arabian Grand Prix here on SLIPSTREAM Racing, and gets driver of the day as well. So not a bad finish for him. Won that by a second against the Red Bull there. of Mr. Race. So quite an interesting race between them. Came down quite close down to the end. Let's have a final look at the results, which will still be preliminary until the stewards have a look at any incidents happening in the session. So race win for the first Saudi Arabian Grand Prix race here on IG8Live Esports as well goes to OTL Alien there in the AlphaTauri. Gained started 17th on the grid and gained quite a lot of positions to get up into P1, taking the win for that by about a second against the Red Bull of Mr. Race, finishing second on the podium. Not too bad a position for him. Mikey in the Ferrari ran a pretty good race, almost got himself up in the second. We had to take third place. Nick there in the McLaren finishing in fourth and getting the fastest lap in the session, so pretty good on his end. Christoph taking fifth. We got Code and Controller finishing sixth. Maddie finishing seventh. We got Vintage in eighth. Masterpin ninth. Dixie finishes 10th and Matt Slow finishes in 11th. Unfortunate for the rest of the drivers who could not finish the session, unfortunately, but still not too bad so far for a 100% race here. Again, looking forward to another one here in the session. We should be having Monaco as a next race coming up next week Sunday, hopefully having some other streams during the course of the week, which we're starting to get back to. So I'll see you guys on the next stream. Thank you guys for joining on the session. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and remember to follow us on Twitch and Facebook as well.